Good morning and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much for tuning in. We have a lot to talk about. First and foremost, 800,000 federal employees could return to normal life. The Senate's going to vote on Trump's initial proposal. Now, if Democrats refuse to even negotiate, that's not Trump's fault. That's not Trump's fault. What is Trump supposed to do? What's Mitch MCConnell supposed to do? Government should be about negotiating. There happens to be 63 million Americans who voted for Trump. The only reason Clinton got the popular vote is because she outspent Trump 2-1 and had every single major publication as an extension of the Democratic, CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Washington Post, as an extension of the Democratic Party. There is not even a hint of objectivity. There's not even one iota of neutrality. It is all full steam ahead for the Democratic Party, and they still lost the election. When I said that she would lose in 2015, and I wrote about it and I explained exactly why. But anyway, you have tens of millions of Americans. You have half the country, probably more than half, who, well, you have at least half the country that wants President Trump to preside over some kind of physical barrier between the United States and Mexico. Not just a fence, which Democrats are okay with, some type of real physical barrier. Rooster Cogburn, I'm center right, and I always try to be as objective as possible. I can't lie. It's becoming apparent the Democratic Party's anti-American party. How did we get here, dude? By the way, you're the man. Rooster Cogburn, thank you. We got here, well, let's put it this way. When you cheat and you engage in criminal activity and the media is in on it, when all of that takes place, you have a country that legitimizes criminal acts and criminal behavior. Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party and Deborah Wasserman Schultz cheated Bernie Sanders. They cheated Bernie Sanders. And they cheated Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders said, thank you for cheating me. And then continued with, oh, my goodness, Trump worked with Russia. They fabricated a fantasy, all because they lost to save face. And now half the country believes in nonsense. A complete, ridiculous fantasy fairy tale. And they utilized the United States government as a tool of the Democratic Party. We can go on forever, but that's Rooster Cogburn. That's how we got here. But John Nolan, thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you very much, John Nolan. Thank you. Rooster Cogburn, John Nolan, thank you. So Mitch McConnell's going to vote to open the government, to allow 800,000 workers to get back to their lives. And Democrats in the House are going to be forced to say, no, you will not get back to life as usual. No, we have the media. We have the Washington Post. We have the New York Times. We have we have CNN. We have MSNBC. I don't care if you voted in the Senate, Mitch MCConnell. That's nothing but a ploy. You know very well that we're not going to negotiate. You know very well when the bill, if it's voted on in the Senate and it passes the Senate, which it'll pass the Senate. Even Mitt Romney, do you realize how bad you have to be, Democrats, to get Mitt Romney on Trump's side? Do you realize the depths of your depravity? Do you realize how low can you go? How low can you go? Mitt Romney is even like, I just don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on with her. You would think that Mitt Romney would be like, oh, you would think that Mitt Romney is would be against anything Trump does. But even now, I'm trying to find this. Let's see. Okay. Mitt Romney, Trump, Pelosi. Romney backs Trump in Shutdown, Showdown. Questions. This is the Associated Press. It's not even Fox. Do you realize how important this is? Mitt Romney is like Pelosi's best friend, essentially, in the Republican Party. Okay, he's the new Jeff Flake. Okay, and even Mitt Romney is like, yeah, no, and he's doing this also because he has aspirations for future. He thinks he's going to become president. Let's just get to the bottom of it. Okay, look, Mitt Romney thinks he's going to become president. Okay, he thinks that he can challenge. He thinks that he can challenge Trump. Okay, he thinks that people long for Mitt Romney. Okay, press 3 if you want Mitt Romney to become president. Press 5 if you've never in your life believed that Romney could become president. Press 3 if you long, oh my goodness, you dream of Mitt Romney as president. Press 5 if you think it's a joke and he would never in a million years become president. Okay. So, okay. All right. So, but do you understand? He wants to become president. Do you understand this? Okay. And this is kind of also the reason why he's backing Trump, because he knows very well. He knows very, 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 very well that, this is a very popular thing among not just, I didn't come into this wanting a wall. Now I want a wall. Because if it prevents trafficking of all different types, I can't even say, let's put it this way. One of the reasons I want a wall is because it's against YouTube policies to explain exactly why we need a wall. If I really get into it, I'll say certain words the algorithm will pick up. That's why we need a wall. So if you read a book on Charles Bowden, if you read what takes place on the border and how, just in terms of trafficking of all different types, narcotics, look, there's so much. It is a national emergency. It is a national security issue. That's why when Kamala Harris and other Democrats, they say, well, I'm running for office. This is, I'm strong on national security. The Democrats view themselves to be this hybrid where they're like, these people who are outraged by words, while at the same time they have the max boot interventionist, never-ending quagmire foreign policy that they think that they're so tough with. So they have the worst. They have the worst of both worlds in terms of foreign policy. Their foreign policy is never-ending quagmire and conflict. That they think they're tough because of that. Then, in terms of society, they're completely dismantling normality by criminalizing even words. And so it's like they have the worst of every possible character trait in politics. But U.S. Senator Mitt Romney of Utah said Friday he supports President Donald Trump's push for a border wall that has led to a government shutdown and questions why Democratic House Speaker Nancy Pelosi won't agree to another few miles of barrier on the U.S.-Mexico border. Okay. Insta Patriot. How about H.A. Goodman for president? Oh, that'll be fun. Insta Patriot. Thank you. Thank you. Insta Patriot, thank you very much. Thank you for always watching. And so, President, you know, I would be, let's see, who would I run with? I'll have to ask like Sticks or, let's see, HB. Submit, maybe, who knows? Who would I run? Who would want to run with me? Romney backs Trump and shutdown showdown, questions Pelosi. This is Romney. You and your fellow Democrats have voted for over 600 miles of border fence in the past. Why won't you vote for another few miles now? Said Romney, speaking in the northern Utah city of Ogden after visiting the county commissioners about the shutdown's impact on the community. I don't understand their position. I really don't. He implored two sides to make a deal and end the suffering of federal workers. But Pelosi doesn't want that. Don't you understand, Mittens? Don't you understand, Mittens? Is that his nickname? Is Mitt Romney's nickname Mittens? Mitt Romney. This is the Reuters in 2012. Mittens Romney. Americans don't know Republican frontrunner's real name. What is his real name? Whatever. Republican is not. It's not, according to 6%, 20%, no, 40%. This article doesn't even say what is. Okay, whatever. Willard Mitt Romney. His name is Willard. So Willard Mittens Romney. Look, Mittens is right on this. Mittens is right on this. When you even have Willard Mittens Romney. Bruce, yes. From the depths comes Bruce, thank you. Johnny 5, I'm a lumberjack. Okay. Yes, Johnny 5, I'm a lumberjack and I work on. Yep. The flannel is old school, very old school. Johnny 5. The flannel is old school. Johnny 5, thank you. So Mitch McConnell is going to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell set to introduce build-out and shutdown. So they're going to force the House Democrats to reject a deal, which is hilarious because excuse me, which is hilarious because they're the ones who keep saying it's Trump's shutdown. It's Trump's shutdown. It's Trump. It's Trump's shutdown. Oh my God. It is Trump's shutdown. So horrible. My God. Trump's shutdown. No, it's not. No, it's not. Want to know why? Because the Senate. Diane Deal. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Diane. Thank you. It's not Trump's shutdown. Want to know why? Because the Senate's about to vote now. And the Senate is going to be, the Senate's going to vote to give Trump $5.7 billion and protection for Dreamers. And House Democrats are actually going to have to reject protections for Dreamers. This is a brilliant move. This is a brilliant and hilarious move because it's come to the point, well, we've passed the point of absurdity. So now it's like beyond absurd. Senate Majority Leader Mitch MCConnell set to introduce a bill that would end shutdown. The nation returned on Tuesday from a holiday weekend to a government still partially shut down 32 days after the costly political impasse began. Senate Majority Leader Mitch MCConnell is expected to introduce a bill that would end the shutdown as early as Tuesday. The measure would follow a plan announced by President Donald Trump over the weekend that would trade protections for DACA recipients, undocumented immigrants brought to the U.S. illegally as children, for wall funding, though the plan was quickly rejected by Democrats. Okay, so what? But put it to a vote and have them formally reject a plan to help their... I have friends who are dreamers, spoke to one of them today, and said, yeah, Trump doesn't want... No, Democrats don't want Trump to be victorious in actually giving citizenship to undocumented immigrants. So they're stalling. Bombard, thank you. So they're stalling. Senate Majority Leader Mitch MCConnell is expected to ensure... Okay, so the White House continued to push the plan Tuesday, putting pressure on Democrats by saying the 800,000 furloughed federal workers would be guaranteed to miss a second paycheck if a deal is not reached by midnight. Oh my God. Oh my God. See, Pelosi, the only thing they have, the leverage they have is the media. But Americans don't care for the media. That's why Trump won. That's why, people don't trust the media, because of the BuzzFeed story that gets completely refuted within hours by Mueller himself. They don't trust them. So Trump's leverage actually is the government. So check this out. Look at the difference between leverage. Okay. The difference between leverage is really Democrats. All they have is Twitter, the Washington Post, the New York Times, CNN, and MSNBC. So that is, actually that is a lot of influence right there. They can spread propaganda very easily. They can deceive people into thinking a whole bunch of nonsense. But this is a pretty clear-cut, like, the average American understands this type of negotiation. We've all gone to buy a car. Okay, when you buy a car, you don't just accept the car salesman's first offer. That's not what's taking place. If you accept the first offer, then you are engaging in a foolish act. You don't just say, okay, well, you know what? I do like the car. I want to buy it. What can we do? Gosh, I'll give you this price, okay? This is the best I can do. Never, if someone says this is the best I can do within the first 10 seconds of negotiating, they're lying. It's not the best you can do. It's not the way negotiations work. You start with the worst possible deal. And then the other person has to continually try to derive a better deal by then going and saying, no, I'm, giving their worst possible deal. So if a car is worth, whatever, you know what I mean? So obviously, like, most Americans understand this. That's the thing. Most Americans understand this. Most Americans get this. It's pretty easy to understand how to negotiate. It's pretty easy. Okay? And it's not that difficult to say, well, President Trump, we don't like your offer, but if you give citizenship, for example, we'll give you the $5.7 billion. They're not even doing that. So you have close to 2 million dreamers. Okay? How about citizenship for all 2 million? No, we'll give citizenship only for certain criteria, which would lead to 1 million. Okay, then then there's a deal. There's a deal. But you have to negotiate. If you don't negotiate, you don't help your constituents. You don't negotiate. So there's 800,000 dreamers, but then there could be more. Let's see. Dreamers total 3.6 million, a number far greater than commonly known. Okay, so 3.6 million. So, but listen, that 800,000, the 800,000 are the, I believe, the youngest. Okay, so at least you can negotiate for 800,000 dreamers. And I want these people to become citizens because they were young when they came here. And they're as American as apple pie. You have to, you have a pristine record to be under the DACA program. So I have friends who are dreamers. I want them to become citizens. Why don't you just negotiate, Pelosi? Negotiate. Say, here, this is what we'll do. You offered DACA protections. No, we don't want that. We want actual citizenship. We want a path to citizenship. So we're going to put that in legislation. Now you vote for it. And Trump will then say, no, we're not going to give 3.3 million people. We'll just do 800,000 people. And then they say, well, no, 1.5 million. So then they go on. And so eventually you will get at least 800,000 people who will get citizenship for $5.7 billion. And when you spend over $100 billion every year, every single year, just to keep Americans in never-ending quagmires, $100 billion, Democrats don't care at all. They're fine with that. They're fine with that. Thank you, Sharif. They're okay with $100 billion plus dollars. They're okay with the future cost. Do you know what we're spending in terms of interest? Interest on the Bush and Obama quagmires? Let me tell you, in interest payments. You're looking at trillions. And the exact price in terms of trillions. Trillions include the interest. Okay, it's 5.9 trillion eventually for both. Hold on, I'll tell you right now. Hold on. This is Brown University. So the Watson Institute. $6.7 trillion, not including future. Okay, so wait. So 6.7 trillion for all the conflicts. Even if these conflicts ended by 2023, the U.S. would be on track to spend an additional $808 billion to total $6.7 trillion. But that's not the trillions of interest. The interest $7.9 trillion in cumulative interest through 2056. Hello. That was in 2011. Dr. Ryan Edwards calculated more than, this is the Brown University, 7.9 trillion in cumulative interest through 2056, because we don't have the money to spend for these never-ending quagmires, so we put it on our credit card. So forget about the payments that we're going to make. The interest payments alone is 7.9 trillion in cumulative interest. Press 1 if you think 7.9 trillion in interest is an atrocity. Insta Patriot, good mistakes 2024, the MAGA party, make it happen. First voter, first support. I claim it. Insta Patriot. Insta Patriot, thank you. Insta Patriot, thank you so very, very much. That would be a good ticket right there. That would be a good ticket. Insta Patriot, thank you. Johnny 5. Johnny 5. Tip, research Janet Napolitano, Dennis Burke, the Arizona Mafia, and their connection will explain much regarding position on the wall. Thank you, Johnny 5. Nice to go, Salinas. Johnny 5, thank you. Will do. Thank you, Johnny 5. Thank you. That's also an interesting take. Press 1 if you think 7.9 trillion in cumulative interest is beyond absurd. When you think of, what has the country gained from this never-ending? The main thing is the human cost, the lives, the Americans and American lives and their families, and the lives of people in these regions that, because of our military, because of our civilians in government, like the Max Boots and the Bill Cristols and the Hillary Clintons and all the wonderful, and the Bushes and the Obamas, the wonderful people who send Americans off to these never-ending conflicts, the inadvertent, what's called blowback, or power vacuums that are created, sectarian strife, civil conflicts that are generated because of our foreign policy, and the hundreds of thousands of lives perished because of this. War appropriations for Iraq and Afghanistan were not funded with new taxes or war bonds, but the deficit spending and borrowing. But by deficit spending and borrowing, this adds interest costs to war spending, specifically the interest costs already paid and future interest costs. The severity of the burden of conflict-related interest payments will depend on many factors, not least the overall future health of the U.S. economy, interest rates, government fiscal policy, and national savings. In 2011, Dr. Ryan Edwards calculated more than 7.9 trillion in cumulative interest through 2056. And spending has increased substantially. So we have 7.9 trillion in just an interest. Johnny 5, thank you. Richard Method, Richard, thank you very much. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Richard. So $7.9 trillion in interest on conflicts that Pelosi actually wants to continue, but 5.7 billion, no way. No way. So, that's the thing. It's like, it's completely, thank you, Richard. Thank you. It is completely, it's just not, there's no logic behind it. The Senate measure is likely to encompass funding for the president's wall, as well as funding for the 25% of the government that's been shut down for the last month. The bill may also include billions of dollars in disaster aid and an extension on a bill that protects women from violence. Aide said it remains to be. And so they're going to, the Democrats are going to just reject this in the House. It remains to be seen if the bill will advance in the Senate, given that most Democrats are united in demanding. Who cares? Who cares? The Republicans have what, 6, 7 more senators? 6, I believe. 5 or 6. The Republicans, the president kicked off today with day 32 with a tweet. Over the weekend, the president offered Democrats a deal of temporary protection for undocumented immigrants in exchange for $5.7 billion in border funding. Democrats turned a non-starter. See, just saying it's a non-starter, that's not negotiating. You have to actually negotiate. You can't, that's not negotiating. Then they're going to flip around. They're going to say, well, she said it was a non-starter. That's negotiating. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not negotiating. That's not negotiating. That's not negotiating. Cookie Girl. Cookie Girl. Keep up the good work. Thank you so very much, Cookie Girl. Thank you. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, we're over 131,000 subs. So let's get this to 140,000 and then 150,000. And we'll eventually get to 200. You know, the channel is growing and it's actually interesting. The channel is growing and I'm doing it my way to a great extent, like Frank Sinatra. Just if I have to say things and I know I'll lose subs, I say them anyway. And not to get too lost in the weeds here, like I usually do, but it's interesting. Well, I was at 131,000 subscribers, and I helped expose the whole Q nonsense, which now everyone is exposing, which now everyone is saying is a bunch of complete nonsense. And when I did that, I was over 131,000 subs, and that was like about, 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, whatever. Then I lost like 700-800 subs within a week. And now I'm back to where I was after I helped expose the whole Q ridiculous, absurd nonsense. So I'm happy. I'm happy. And you know what? One thing about me, I'm not always right, although I'm right a lot more often than I'm wrong. But I'm going to try to be genuine. That's all I can give. Because the thing is, you can tell if someone is not genuine. You can tell. It's left and right. The camera, this little camera doesn't lie. So when you can't answer certain questions during a debate, if you can't prove a categorical claim, not, oh, I believe this is, if it's something that I say that I believe is going to happen, like I believe Clinton will get indicted. I am telling you that Clinton eventually will get indicted because of the criminal behavior. I'm not saying I have inside knowledge. I'm not saying that I'm this, amazing, super connected person. No. But from the public record, I use public record evidence to say Clinton will eventually get indicted because there was a grandiose cover-up and then a setup of Trump, a cover-up of Clinton's crimes, and then a setup of Trump. Now you have William Barr, which the whole Trust Sessions thing was like completely out the window. And once William Barr is confirmed, and once he starts a special counsel, once he starts public investigations of Peter Strzok, it's on. We'll get to 140, 150, and then 200. But we'll do it the right way. I don't follow fads, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll tell you why. Fads don't last long. There was a fad, I'm not even going to bring it up because it's against YouTube policies, in 2016. You had channels that had hundreds of thousands of views per segment, okay, regarding a fad. Not talking about the underlying, criminal behavior. Yeah, sure, those crimes exist, I'm talking about a fad regarding what people were concocting. Same thing. Fads start on YouTube. They don't last. They do not last. Anyway, so we're over 131,000, which is great. The Senate needs to get this done. So this is President Trump today. Yes, here we go. James Baker, former FBI top lawyer James Baker just admitted involvement in FISA warrant and further admitted there were irregularities in the way the Russia probe was handled. Wow. They relied, I'm gonna do an upload on this. They relied heavily on the unverified Trump dossier paid for by the DNC and Clinton campaign, exactly what I've been saying, and funded through a big crooked Hillary law firm represented by a lawyer, Michael Sussman. Do you believe this? Who worked Baker hard and gave him Oppo research for a Russia probe. This meeting now exposes the subject of Senate inquiries and much more. An unconstitutional hoax. Absolutely. 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 So, ladies and gentlemen, everything that I've been saying is being vindicated. Well, again, I'll just leave it. Trump doesn't have to deny the Loch Ness Monster doesn't exist. So, did Trump deny the Tooth Fairy? Well, there you go. And if people believe it, that's on them. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, God bless. Thank you so much. Definitely check out my upload coming up regarding James Baker, who, by the way, said that Clinton should be indicted. That's according to Mark Meadows, Congressman Mark Meadows, and Paul Sperry, journalist, great journalist. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, to my super chat. Thank you. This is going to be a good year, very good year. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very, very, very much. Thank you.